the $100,000 muscle trap, why bone broth is failing your body, and the 1960s secret that fixes it. If you're sipping bone broth to protect your muscles, you're probably stuck in the $100,000 trap. Slow, weak collagen that digests poorly after 60 and gives a false sense of safety. The top 1% use a different broth that absorbs faster and actually shows up when your tissues need it. Here's the hard truth. Falls, rehab, assisted living, lost independence, that bill stacks fast. Over the next hour, I'll show you a simple swap and timing plan that protects strength, why bone broth underdelivers, the marine collagen advantage, the omega-3 recovery multiplier, and exactly how to cook, use, and pair it with movement. There's a 1960s origin clue from Japan that most people overlook, and it explains the why now for seniors. In a minute, we'll get into why muscle loss speeds up after 60 and why broth alone stalls. First, understand the stakes, because once you see them, the switch becomes obvious. The cost of muscle loss after age 60. Sarcopenia isn't just getting weaker. After 60, recovery slows, balance wobbles, and everyday tasks turn into effort. Stairs feel taller. Low chairs feel deeper. A bag of groceries asks more of your grip than it used to. The hidden cost shows up as lingering soreness, cautious steps, and that quiet fear of falling that keeps you from walking as much as you should. Here's the thing most people miss. Once you move less, the decline accelerates. Less walking means fewer signals for your muscles and connective tissue to maintain themselves. That leads to more stiffness, which leads to even less movement. It's a loop. Break it early, and you keep independence. Ignore it, and the bill arrives. Copays, rehab hours, caregivers, modifications around the house, and time you can't get back. Why does this speed up after 60? Biology stacks the deck. Activity dips. Low-grade inflammation lingers. Hormones shift, and your natural collagen production drops, while existing collagen breaks down faster. That means the scaffolding around your muscles, tendons, fascia, intramuscular connective tissue repairs slower. So even with decent protein and regular exercise, results plateau because the framework isn't keeping up with the fiber growth. This clicked for me when I saw how older adults can follow the right plan, eat protein, do resistance training, yet still feel fragile. The reason is simple. Protein is the bricks, collagen is the rebar. Without rebar, the wall doesn't handle stress. With rebar, the same bricks perform better. Clinical research backs that up. Trials pairing hydrolyzed collagen peptides with resistance training report better gains in lean mass and strength than training alone, along with less post-exercise soreness. Dose matters and consistency matters. Think daily intake over 8 to 12 weeks, not random sips, and standardized peptide forms in the 5 to 15 gram range. The reason this works is absorbable collagen supports the connective matrix, so your training signal gets translated into stable function instead of temporary bumps. There's also the financial side. A single hip fracture can trigger months of costs. Hospital stays, rehab, transportation, and help at home. Even without fractures, repeated setbacks drain savings through co-treatments, supplements that don't move the needle, and time lost to recovery that should have been faster. That's the $100,000 stake over a few years of compounded little expenses and lost independence. If you've been diligent with protein and movement and still feel stuck, it's not your discipline. It's the framework lag. Now, here's where most people mess up. They try to fix scaffolding with bone broth. Warm? Yes. Predictable dose and fast absorption after 60? Not really. In the next section, I'll show you the collagen framework most people miss, and the size of the collagen pieces, that changes everything. The collagen framework, most people Mississippi. The thing most people miss is that muscle strength isn't just contractile fibers. It's fibers plus the connective matrix that transmits force without wobble. Protein rebuilds the fibers. Collagen reinforces the matrix, fascia sheets, tendon insertions, and the intramuscular netting that keeps everything aligned. If that net frays, your power leaks. That's why you feel weaker even when you're hitting your protein. Why this matters more after 60. Collagen synthesis slows while breakdown speeds up. So the same workout that used to refresh you now leaves stiffness for days. This clicked for me when a client kept training, ate enough protein, but still couldn't rise from low chairs without bracing. We introduced absorbable collagen. And within weeks, soreness windows shrank and the sit-to-stand felt steadier. Same bricks, better rebar. What's the actual technique? Use hydrolyzed collagen peptides or a collagen-rich marine broth that delivers smaller fragments your gut can handle quickly. The shortcut nobody teaches is that collagen's impact is size-dependent. Long chains act like rope you can't digest well. Short peptides, especially in the low thousands of Daltons, move across the gut wall faster and show up in blood sooner. That faster plasma appearance means your tissues see the raw materials when your body is craving repair, post-activity, and overnight. Here's how to think about it. Your training is the foreman telling the crew what to build. Dietary protein delivers bricks. Collagen peptides deliver the steel. If you remember nothing else, remember this pairing: stimulus plus bricks plus rebar. People focus on the first two and wonder why the building creaks. How do you implement it? Aim for a daily, repeatable collagen source. Research-aligned intakes cluster around 5 to 15 grams of hydrolyzed collagen peptides per day for at least 8 to 12 weeks, paired with resistance work. If you're using food-first methods, that's where Fish Skin Broth helps. More on the recipe later. Practically, put one serving near your movement session or with dinner to feed overnight repair. Add vitamin C-rich foods around those windows because it supports collagen formation: citrus, peppers, berries. Common mistakes to avoid: treating collagen as a protein replacement, chasing random doses, and expecting changes in 2 weeks. Collagen supports structure. Your total protein still matters for muscle fibers. Also, consistency is everything. Sporadic sips won't shift the matrix. And don't ignore the rest of your routine. Without a signal from movement, your body won't direct those materials into the tissues you care about. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. Which brings us to the trap most people fall into when they try to get collagen from a comforting source that sounds right but doesn't deliver what you think. The bone broth trap. Let me show you exactly how the trap works. Most people reach for bone broth, expecting a strong collagen hit. The problem starts with quantity. Per cup collagen is often too low compared with trial doses that showed results. Many homemade broths land in the low single-digit grams per serving. And that's before we talk about variability. 2 pots simmered the same way can produce totally different yields depending on bones, cartilage ratio, acidity, and cook time. One gels, one doesn't, and you don't know until it cools. That unpredictability kills your ability to hit a consistent, research-aligned intake. Now, here's where most people mess up. They assume warmth equals benefit. Comfort isn't the same as clinical support. The gelatin in bone broth is mostly long chains. Older digestion, lower stomach acid, fewer enzymes, struggles with big proteins. The reason this matters is absorption. Trials that improved lean mass and strength used hydrolyzed collagen peptides. Pre-broken into smaller fragments, your gut can move quickly and more consistently than gelatin. Traditional bone broth doesn't guarantee those small peptide sizes. So a meaningful slice of what you drink may never show up as usable building blocks at the right time. There's another wrinkle: purity and sourcing. Long simmers can concentrate whatever trace contaminants were in the bones to begin with. That doesn't mean panic. It means you need excellent sourcing and moderation, which complicates using broth as a daily, predictable dose. Add sodium control on top. and routine gets even harder. So you end up with a ritual that feels good but stalls outcomes. Warmth, hydration, a bit of electrolytes, nice. But when your scaffolding is fraying faster than it's repaired, nice isn't enough. Because collagen synthesis after 60 is already lagging, small, inconsistent, and slow to absorb gelatin doesn't close the gap. That's why people say, I've been drinking broth for months, and I still feel frail. It's not your effort, it's the form and the dose. Let me give you a quick mental model: dose, digestibility, and dependability. Bone broth misses on all three too often. Dose, usually low. Digestibility, large chains your gut doesn't love. Dependability, batch-to-batch roulette. Even if you get a gel, you don't know if you hit the range that studies used. Before we continue, you need to understand that I'm not saying bone broth is harmful. Use it as comfort food, part of soups, or a gentle hydration tool. Just don't expect it to be your scaffolding strategy. If you want your training to translate into steadier steps and faster recovery, you need smaller peptides that appear in plasma faster and in predictable amounts. The game changer nobody talks about is a broth source that naturally leans towards smaller fragments and higher reliability in a shorter cook. That's where marine collagen from fish skins steps in. It closes the size gap, improves absorption and aging digestion, and makes daily targeting more realistic. In the next section, I'll show you why those smaller pieces and faster appearance give older adults a practical edge that bone broth can't match, and how to use that edge without spending all day in the kitchen. The marine collagen advantage. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Peptide size decides whether your body can actually use collagen after 60. Fish skin collagen, when prepared as broth or hydrolyzed peptides, tends to break down into smaller fragments that your gut transports faster. Aging digestion runs with lower stomach acid and reduced protease activity. Big gelatin chains slow you down. Low molecular weight peptides move. Why this matters? Timing. After activity and overnight, tissues are primed for repair. Collagen fragments that appear in plasma sooner are the ones that get to the job on time. Marine-derived peptides in the low thousands of Daltons, roughly 2,000 to 3,500, consistently show faster uptake than long-chain gelatin in reviews of peptide pharmacokinetics. The reason this works is simple. Short, flexible chains cross the intestinal wall more efficiently, so more material reaches circulation with less digestive effort. Now, what you'll notice isn't bigger biceps. It's steadier function. Collagen doesn't directly thicken muscle fibers. It reinforces the connective architecture, tendon insertions, intramuscular lattice, fascia glides. That scaffolding keeps force transfer smooth, so the strength you already build with protein and training doesn't leak through a wobbly frame. This is why many older adults report less lingering soreness and a more confident sit-to-stand once marine peptides are in place. Another edge, small appetites. As we age, total food intake tends to drop. If your collagen source requires large volumes or heavy meals, consistency collapses. Marine collagen's absorption efficiency delivers more effect per gram. That means a cup of fish skin broth or a modest serving of hydrolyzed marine peptides can move the needle without overfilling you. Let me back up and make the why crystal clear. With age, two things happen at once. Collagen synthesis slows, and existing collagen breaks down faster. That's a double hit. If you provide smaller, quickly absorbed peptides, you reduce the lag between intake and tissue repair, tightening recovery cycles. Over weeks, those tighter cycles add up to fewer soreness days, better balance, and more freedom to train again because you're not sidelined by the last session. Here's how to use this advantage without overcomplicating it. Pick one marine source you can repeat daily, homemade fish skin broth or a vetted hydrolyzed marine collagen powder. Keep the serving modest but consistent. Place it near your movement window or with dinner to feed the night shift. Layer vitamin C rich foods around those times to support collagen formation. Stay mindful of allergies. If fish or shellfish trigger you, stop and talk to your clinician. Common mistakes to avoid. Assuming marine automatically means clean. Quality and sourcing still matter. Thinking more is always better. Steady beats, sporadic large doses. And forgetting the signal, collagen follows training. No stimulus, no targeted remodeling. Once you feel how the smaller pieces change recovery, the next question becomes obvious. Does fish skin broth actually outperform bone broth where it counts? Yield, type, reliability, and practical intake? Compare contrast. Fish skin broth versus bone broth. Let's line them up on the 4 things that matter most. Yield, type, reliability, and practicality. Yield first. Fish skins are densely packed with collagen that releases readily. With a shorter simmer, you tend to get a firmer gel and a higher collagen concentration per cup compared with many bone broths that need long cooks and still swing wildly. That denser extraction makes it easier to approach research-aligned daily totals without chasing huge volumes. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for a cup that reliably contributes to that 5 to 15 gram target across your day. Type next. Marine collagen is predominantly type I, the form most relevant to the connective scaffolding that stabilizes muscle function, tendons, and fascia. Beef bones bring type I and 3. Chicken leans type 2 for cartilage. Those have value. But if your primary goal is muscle-related connective integrity, type I alignment is a plus, especially when it arrives in smaller fragments your gut can use efficiently. Reliability is where marine broth quietly wins. Bones vary. Age of the animal, cartilage ratio, mineral content, and acidity all shift your outcome. You can simmer for 20 hours and still get a thin, low collagen broth. Fish skins, by contrast, gel consistently with a 2 to 3 hour low simmer or roughly an hour under pressure. That reliability reduces guesswork and helps you hit a steady intake rhythm day after day. Practical intake ties it together. Most seniors don't want to drink liters of stock. They want 1 or 2 simple servings that count. A concentrated fish skin broth cup slots neatly into breakfast eggs, lunchtime soup, or a dinner sauce. You can cook grains in it for invisible collagen or sip it plain with lemon and ginger. Because marine peptides absorb fast, that single cup near your activity window can actually matter. Now, a few clarifications so you don't overcorrect. Chicken feet broth can deliver high collagen yield, and some people do well with it. The trade-off is absorption speed and consistency. Hydrolyzed marine peptides still tend to appear in plasma sooner and more predictably than non-hydrolyzed collagen. Store-bought options exist, but you'll need to check sodium, gel on cooling for broths, peptide grams per serving for powders, and sourcing. With homemade fish skins from a trusted fishmonger, you control flavor, dose, and purity. What about contaminants? The same sourcing rules apply everywhere. Rotate species, avoid relying on large predatory fish, and buy fresh. With fish skins, shorter simmers limit the overconcentration risk seen with all-day bone broths, and refrigeration gel tests give you a visual check that extraction happened. Here's a simple rule of thumb to remember. Fish skin broth wins on D3, density, digestibility, dependability. Density, more collagen per cup from collagen-rich skins. Digestibility, smaller fragments your gut transports quickly. Dependability, shorter, repeatable cooks that gel. Bone broth still has comfort value, minerals, and tradition, but for muscle scaffolding after 60, comfort without dose and speed doesn't cut it. And here's the payoff. When you switch your base from variable bone broth to reliable fish skin broth, you not only move closer to effective collagen intake, you also pick up a benefit bone broth lacks: entirely direct EPA and DHA from the skin. That recovery multiplier reduces lingering inflammation that blunts your training payoff. In the next section, I'll show you how that omega-3 edge stacks with collagen, so your effort finally shows up as steadier steps and faster bounce back.